time for Nerdgasm.
Hey, what's up guys? Jerry here, aka Barnacules, and in this video we will be 3D printing the pistol that Tracer carries in the game Overwatch. If you guys are unfamiliar, Tracer is one of the more controversial characters in the Overwatch series for a couple of different reasons. But needless to say, it is an amazing model. Now, this thing was printed in multiple parts using multiple different materials and was not painted. These are actually the individual colors of the plastic used. Now, this model was created by somebody named Simone Fontana, and I will have links to all of his information and his social media down in the video description, but he did an absolute amazing job on this. And now I'm gonna walk you guys through the entire process of printing, assembling, lacquering, and drooling over this beautiful piece. Now, today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. If you guys are not familiar with Squarespace, they're a service that gets you up and running quickly with your own website, blog, or e-commerce site. Now, I've been using them for 2 years now to run my shop.barnerd.com e-commerce site, and it's been an absolute pleasure. Right now, they are offering a 14-day free, risk-free trial. All you have to do is go to squarespace.com/Barnacules and sign up. And if you decide after the 14 days you want to continue on with the service and purchase it, you can get 10% off by using code Barnacules. All of this information will also be available down in the video description, just in case you guys forget. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna need to do is go pick up the 3D model. So head over to thingiverse.com using the link that I have in the video description. It will take you right to this model by Simone. Now, when you download this model, you're gonna notice that it has a ton of different pieces. You don't print this as just one solid piece. It's been segmented so that you can print each of the parts in a different colored material. And the name of the files actually reflects which material color you should be using when you're printing them. Now, the slicer I chose for this project was Simplify 3D. Now, it's kind of an expensive piece of software, but it does an amazing job with support material in areas where it can't be avoided. But it's by far the easiest to remove support material, and I found that it gives the most consistent printing results. So now that I'm printing this in 4 different batches, I'm gonna go ahead and set up each group of parts in the Simplify 3D software with the proper material settings, because I'm actually printing the handle and the slide in ColorFab XT, which has a 260°C melting point, and I'm printing all the detailed pieces at a higher resolution of 0.1 millimeter using PLA, which gives me a lot of detail on things like the tip and here in the side magazine. All right, so now that we've finished slicing all of the parts, we're gonna go ahead and put them on an SD card and take them over to the Ultimaker 2 Plus 3D printer. Now, I have a lot of 3D printers, but the Ultimaker has always given me the best consistency of print in the highest resolution with the least amount of tinkering and bed leveling and things like that. It's actually a fantastic design. If you guys would like to pick up your own Ultimaker 3D printer, I have an affiliate link down in my video description. When you use that, it helps the channel, and I guarantee you're gonna love the printer. I haven't heard any real negative feedback about the Ultimaker 2 Plus, especially since they did the new extruder and the new hot end, which are both fantastic. Now, throughout the printing process, I had a ton of failed prints, and it was because I was having some trouble with filament that I had sitting out in my garage for a very long time, and I realized that that filament was absorbing moisture. I planned to do a video on how to create a desiccant box to keep your filament dry, but as soon as I opened a new spool of filament for the gray and the black and put it onto the printer, I didn't have any problems after that.
Moisture is a serious problem.
All right, so now that I've got everything dialed in on the Ultimaker, let me go ahead and show you guys the time lapse of printing each of the 4 batches that I'm gonna use to bring this gun together. so now we have all the parts we need to assemble the gun, but the first thing we need to do is remove the support material from the handle in here, and we have to go ahead and clean up some of the little burrs and the little boogers that got all over the 3D print during the printing process. Now to do that, I just take some files that I got from Harbor Freight and also get some sandpaper, and I just give everything a really good sanding. Now, one of the problems you'll run into sanding, especially if you're not painting the part, is that it will scratch up the finish on the plastic and it'll make it look really, really dull. And of course, that's not a look that you really want, but there's an easy solution for that. Once you finish sanding all of the plastic parts on your weapon or whatever you're 3D printing, what you want to do is take it in and with soap and water, take a brush and scrub it really good. And that brush will help get all of the crap out of all the little sand grooves and all the things. Now, I didn't do a phenomenal job sanding this because it was my first tracer gun that I printed, and I wanted to learn from it so that I could do a higher detailed model in a future video. I also want to make it a little bigger because, as you can see, I've got a pinky out because this gun was designed for a very, very small female, not a very, very large male with a huge hand. Now, once you have all your parts scrubbed and ready to go, all you need to do is take them and assemble them using the instructions that are on the Thingiverse site. Now, for this process, I actually had Joel Telling, the 3D printing nerd, help me assemble it because he had already built one of the tracer guns the night before. We both started this project at the same time without even realizing what each other were doing. So we collaborated and helped each other out, and he did an amazing job putting this together during the Eastside 3D printer building camp that we attended together. And after we went ahead and assembled it using some simple super glue, and then we ran out of super glue, we used something called Bondic, which is amazing. It's a UV curable liquid plastic. Absolutely phenomenal. I'll have a link to that stuff down in the video description. I would highly recommend it over super glue because it gives you a lot more control over final placement before you cure the material. But once it was fully assembled and we're ready to go, I went ahead and brought it home, but I noticed there were still tons of scratches all over it from when I sanded it to get the parts to look a little bit cleaner and to remove the support material. So what I did was I took the gun outside and laid it down and sprayed it with a couple coats of lacquer. The lacquer immediately filled in all of the scratches, and it made the thing look really, really deep colors again. Like you can see the black here, it's like a mirror with the light, and the black is actually very, very black and not gray like it was after I sanded it. So I highly recommend that if you're not gonna paint a part and you're just gonna let the filament colors shine through from the individual parts, hit it with some lacquer. It makes all the difference in what the final piece looks like, especially if you did some sanding and filing. Now, as you can see, the final gun turned out absolutely amazing. I really, really want to start printing all of my favorite guns from all of the different games like I did with Halo. I printed the Magnum. I'll have that video linked in the description. I also printed the Duke Mark 44 from Destiny, and I have that in the video description, but this is by far the best and most complete model that I've printed to date. And I like the idea of printing it in the different filaments so that you get the solid coloring without having to paint all the parts and put it together. Now, obviously, if you're creating a show quality piece, you'd want to sand these all down meticulously, maybe even use some body filler to clean some stuff up and fill in some gaps, and then shoot it with a very, very high-end paint job using an airbrush. But for somebody that just has a 3D printer and a bunch of rolls of filament laying around that doesn't know how to paint, because I'll tell you right now, painting is a skill. It's not something that I really possess well. You can get some amazing results just with your 3D printer and a couple different colored filaments. Also, make sure that when you're slicing the model that you use a pretty thick wall and a decent amount of infill. And the reason being is I did a very thin wall on this print, which used less material, but when I was pulling the support away, I was starting to break some of the walls apart, and I was having to use glue to correct some of those problems. So I highly recommend that you go ahead and spend a little extra filament and a little extra print time to guarantee you a better piece in the end. Now, I want to give a huge thanks to Simone Fontana again for making such a beautiful 3D model that anybody can just go and print out themselves. And this would definitely be a cool piece to take to a con to go with your tracer outfit. I also want to thank the 3D printing nerd, Mr. Joel Telling, for his help in the assembly of this weapon. And me and him went back and forth a whole lot, sharing ideas on how we were doing things. He's printing a bigger gun himself. If you want to see the larger version of this printed, I have a link to it down in the video description. And it's really cool to have such a strong 3D community where we're all going back and forth and sharing ideas and trading things. And it's a very, very supportive community. And I really love being a part of it. Also, I really want to start a project that's a very, very long-term project where I start printing all of my favorite guns from all of the different games and start building an armory on one of the walls in the Nerd Cave and just slowly grow that armory over time. If that's something that you would be interested in seeing, please specifically leave that down in the comments. I do read the comments on my videos, so I would love to see what you guys think about that idea. And if enough people are interested, I'm going to start kicking it off at maybe printing one every 2 weeks or every month and adding to that arsenal until that arsenal arsenal is pretty much every one of my favorite guns from every one of my favorite games. All right, guys, if you have any other questions about the tracer gun that I have right here, please leave them down in the video comments or come over and tweet me. I am at Barnacules over on Twitter. And also, if you enjoyed this video or any of the other content I produce, please slap a like on this video. It really helps me a lot and it gets me motivated to make more content like this for you guys. Until next time.
Don't cross streams. Don't cross the streams.
It's getting there. Look at that.
Dude, that was quick assembly.
Well,
what am I gonna have to do for the other like 8 minutes of the video?
Pew pew pew. It's a sexy gun.
Yep, it's a very sexy gun. Might even be pregnant. You know what the top 3 most requested 3D prints by email I've received as a YouTuber are? First one, adult toy. Second one, gun. And third one, a bong. If you ever want to learn how to cope with bullying, just be an internet personality for like 10 minutes. Sure. Yeah. Oh my gosh. If I got $1 for every kill yourself email I got, oh my gosh, I'd be like 100 air.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please take a moment and subscribe to my channel. It helps me a lot. Also come over to Twitter. I'm at Barnacules. I'm a real social guy. Also, if you have a couple of minutes, check out some of these many other videos. I made them myself.